today's discussion here. So he is right here on set. Give it up for His Grace Archbishop Bernard Okufuor. He's here live and direct.
Thank you so
Good
much.
morning, sir.
Good
Welcome
morning,
to
Your
the show.
Grace.
Welcome.
How was your journey
everybody.
down here,
Good morning,
sir?
everybody.
For-
My
for
journey
class?
was fantastic, and it was interesting to say the least.
Okay.
Because very quickly, I can tell you a quick story about it. Because obviously, I landed on Thursday in Abuja, so the plan was to be in Calabar on Friday.
Okay.
However, for the very first time in my life, so before coming anyway, I would always fly direct, but it was so expensive this time.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because
Economic.
of not just that, it's because of the break, summer break. So kids are on break from school. So people are bringing kids for like summer holiday in Nigeria as well too. So like British Airways and Virgin are the only two flights that come directly. And the cheapest ticket I saw was like almost £3,000,
Wow.
which is crazy. So compared to paying 700 or 600,
Yeah.
you know, for a straight flight. So I had to fly Lufthansa anyway. So meaning I had to go to Germany first before coming here. Now what happened? We went to Germany. I was on the same plane with Nature Crash at Patience of Water.
Oh, wow.
We got to Germany, and when we arrived Abuja, our luggages went there. So it was first time
Your
it's
luggage
happened
is
to me.
frustrating.
It's the most frustrating
Sorry about
thing
that.
ever.
can
Because
imagine.
sorry for what it's. I mean, it happens.
It happens,
you know,
yeah.
it's not just ever happened to me before. And I guess the risk is reduced when you take a direct flight.
Yeah.
You know, even though that it can still happen in that case, but because we had to go to Germany first and then come here, it happened, and it was crazy. And what made it even more frustrating or scary even was that by the time I got to the airport, we now saw some people that had been waiting for like a week for their luggages to arrive.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, there's a woman that arrived on Sunday, and this was us arriving on Thursday. She came from the States on Sunday. Her luggages have not yet arrived, and she's going back on Sunday.
Wow.
So it was very
Okay,
clearly
sounds
looking like she's going to
Whoa.
go back
Yeah.
without
Without
actual
the
luggage.
luggage.
But anyway, we thank the Father because I had to then stay behind in Abuja because I literally had nothing. I had just my laptop bag, and everything else was in the other suitcase that I had. So I stayed in Abuja. I was praying to the Father. So I stayed Thursday when we landed, Friday, Saturday, went to the airport, and our luggages were there. So I thanked the
Wow.
Father.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father.
So I was
A
able to
miracle
come in
happened.
on Sunday, yeah. So it was, talking about the flight, it was a safe, smooth flight. However, when we landed, frustration, stress, but Father did his work in the end.
Father did it for
Yeah.
his children.
Mm.
At least you should wear your stand and not come and also stand here. Stand came back. Stand was in the luggage.
It
Probably.
was, yeah.
So maybe because of the stand, your luggage came out. We thank God, you know, because
But
luggage
anyways,
is
that
part of
wouldn't have
happiness.
been a challenge because coming to the quarters where we have all types of sultans.
Exactly.
That is true.
difficult
Now, what I
to
did,
avoid.
what I did, I rang, as soon as obviously that happened, the first thing I did was to ring the tailor to say, just sew me sultan. So he
Wow,
sewed sultan.
okay.
So I said, what's the scenario? If it doesn't arrive on Saturday, I didn't want to miss the flag off, no matter what.
Okay.
If it doesn't arrive on the Saturday flight, then I will still come to Calabar on the Sunday. But then that would mean I would have to, obviously, I would have the sultan, but then I would still have to go to the supermarket to buy everything else because I literally didn't have. Even at Abuja there, I had to go to the supermarket to buy toothbrush, toothpaste,
Yeah.
towel, this, that, because everything literally
Was
was
just
in that.
So
suitcase.
sorry.
But anyway, that's by the side.
That's
by
by the
the
side.
way.
Yeah, by the side. Yeah, we are glad you're okay now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this morning we were talking about bad habits in children. I know you're a parent. We have beautiful kids, you know, back there, and probably are watching the screen right now. So I want you to contribute your own £1 to the conversation. Bad habits in children, because we know this is inevitable. Definitely see a bad habit in a child, and how parents can identify bad habits, and maybe how you can also treat some of these habits in case it turn out to be something we will be worried about in the future.
In the future.
Yeah.
That's a fully loaded question. And yeah, there's so many aspects or so many angles, so many ways you can come at that question, and you know, it will take a lot of time to really go into it in detail, but obviously we'll try our best to see what we can say about it.
You had yours, right? You had yours when you were...
You mean like bad habits?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's inevitable.
Okay, what's the
Yeah.
weirdest thing you did when you were a child?
when I was a child, I'm trying to think back now. Sorry, excuse me.
Sorry.
There are common, permit me to call it common, not so good habits that we grew up with. Don't forget to begin with. David said something so profound. He said that I was conceived in iniquity and in sin. My mother gave birth to me.
Yes.
And that is applicable to each and every one of us. As human beings, unfortunately, the flesh, has this power where we find ourselves doing things that we're not meant to do or that we do not desire to do in the first place. So we need to know that. And as parents, we need to understand that as well too, because when you're a parent, it's easy to forget that you were once a child that did those things that the children are doing. And now you're so frustrated and taking out your anger on them. Not realizing that it is not so much that they're doing it because they just want to do it and stress you out. They're doing it in the first place because they're human beings.
And secondly, because their parent did it. Some parents would say, this thing you're doing to me is not the thing I did to my parents. I did not do this. I don't know where you got yours from. But we just realized that some are big lies, right?
That's true. That's very, very true. And in fact, if you read the Everlasting Gospel on Good Parenting, that's a really, really good gospel. I think it's in volume 1. The Holy Father talked about that in particular and say that, how are you surprised the way your child has turned out? Because a lion cannot give birth to a goat.
Sure.
And a mango, you cannot plant a mango seed and then go there and find an apple tree growing. So some way, somehow, you must take responsibility as a parent when your child grows up to become something you did not expect them to become. Sometimes it may not be you directly in terms of like what you do in your house. It may be environmental factors. It may be friends. I heard you guys talking about peer pressure. All those other things come into play. However, as a parent, the responsibility is still upon you. If you remember the story of Prophet Eli and his children, Prophet Eli wasn't the one that taught, I think the names were Hophni and Phinehas. He wasn't the one that taught them to lie. He wasn't the one that taught them to be womanizers. He wasn't the one that taught them all the bad things that they did. But what God was angry with him about was because he did not take responsibility to correct them. So he just stayed away from them whilst they were doing all they were doing, knowing fully well they were doing wrong things. So I'm saying this because it's possible that you as a parent, you went a thief. But your child now, from peer pressure, environmental factor, whatever, they now are stealing. Now it is your responsibility as a parent, Proverbs 22 verse 6, to train the child in the way that they should go, so that when they grow up, they will not depart from it. So it's true what you said. It's that can be very, very powerful. So going back to me growing up, obviously there are common things that happen. Children lie. Children steal. Not steal in terms of like, some children do it where repeatedly to the point where you can outrightly call them a thief, for example. But there are times that the child will make wrong choices and wrong decisions for whatever reason. Like myself, for example, like I was saying before we came back on air during the break, I was saying that this was even when I was older. I used my school fees to buy a computer game. I was going out with friends to play games. Once again, peer pressure again in my school. That was when my father took me away from public school to private school. So immediately I was in an environment where all the kids have computer games at home. And I was the only one that didn't have. I don't know what Nintendo or Super Nintendo was at that stage. So already there was that pressure, not even direct pressure, but indirect pressure for me to have a game. And what happened, funny enough, was that because I did my, what do they call it now, JAM or WAEC or something. What's the one you do from
Common entrance?
No, they're from GS3 to Junior WAEC.
Junior WAEC,
No, actually, no, Senior WAEC. Because I did it when I was in SS1.
Okay.
And I'd already got passed. So I already knew I had a place in university already. And I thought there's no need to go to SS2. So as my dad gave me the school fees, I just went and used it to buy a game, and then some money was still left. So whenever everybody's getting ready, I'll get ready as if I'm going to school, go out. down the road there's a fence that I'll climb and wait.
That was hilarious.
And see the gate open, I wait first because my dad would go out first, I'll see the car go out, and then I'll see my mom go out.
Yeah.
Once I see the two of them have gone out, then I go back home.
Wow.
And
Make use
play
of your-
game, or
Yeah.
my friends will come, we'll go out to town, play game and come back until one day that got caught. The story for
And
Yeah, my mom came back.
Okay.
She didn't just go straight to work, so she went to buy, I think she went to buy gas, so the
you didn't
gas
know.
in the cylinder, I didn't know. So literally that day, I saw her leave. I went back in, I went back in the house because I had key, I'd made key for myself, went into the house. This particular day, I even went to the kitchen, put rice on fire, started boiling rice, as I was there playing game and waiting for my friends to come. I was playing game now, I heard the gate, I was like, that can't be, what's that? Who's that? So I went, looked through the window with my mom. Oh my God. And for those of you that know my mom, action. When I say action, action. Yeah. Everything about her is like film, back, you know. So when I saw her, immediately I ran back in, and the game, obviously I just unplugged everything, opened the cupboard, threw it inside, ran to the room to go and hide, locked the door. As soon as I locked the door in the room, that's when I remembered the rice. Oh
Rice.
my God. Yeah. So that was how I got caught. Because my mom came in, according to her, she came in with the gas cylinder. You know, she wasn't just really thinking, because she actually came in the kitchen, put the cylinder. She was walking and she was like, what's rice doing on the pot? Opened the thing, was boiling. Somebody's in this house. So she went around shouting, who is in this house? I was, I've never prayed to the Holy Father. I prayed, Papa, if you protect me, if you hide me, I will never. The next thing, she came to the room, I could hear her opening all the doors. Who is in this house? She came to the boys' room, tried to open the door, it was locked. Obviously, so who is in here? Who said, I was quiet. Father, please. I don't know whether I thought Father would make me disappear to think.
What were you expecting the father to do for you at that moment?
You know when they are in danger now. Yeah, I said, remember, please, if you help me, I'll do anything you want me to do. Everything. I was praying, and then all of a sudden, she was trying to open it. And then because she couldn't open it, I heard nothing. So I thought, oh, Father's hand is not like she was going. Next thing I heard was, boom, on the door. She went to get cutlass from outside.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, started breaking the door. That's why, Mommy, it's me. So then I opened the long story. But anyway, that's something to remember. And it's every child will go through these experiences. And these experiences, in fact, are important.
Yeah.
Because as much as you learn from hearing from someone, you learn from going through things as well too. It then really enforces the knowledge in you. So that when you in turn grow up and become a parent, you are able to inform your child to say, I did this thing you're doing. Yeah, and it didn't go well for me because this happened and that happened.
Yeah.
You know, so it can be powerful, these experiences. It's not all so bad. So everybody goes through that. All children have, we call it bad habits. I don't like to call it bad habits, but they are bad habits.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing to know as a parent is that it's inevitable.
Yeah, sure.
So all of that anger and beating the child and all of that, that's not the right way to go. Number one, you did the same thing, perhaps even worse than the child in the first place. And I know that obviously you're looking out for the child because you want the child to grow up and not do the things you did, the wrong things you did, and not get into trouble. I understand, but that's not the right way to go about it. Because again, in the book, in the Gospel, Good Parenting, the Holy Father said about beating children. Like the Holy Father really drummed on that particularly. That is not the way. Don't beat your children. First of all, when you're beating your children, that just clearly shows your immaturity as a parent, because you're just venting your anger on the child. Number one. Number two, you are raising a thug, basically. Because when you beat children, say for example, a male child, 9 times out of 10, especially the ones that they beat seriously at home, those ones are the ones that grow up to beat their wives and beat their children mercilessly. Because they've grown up with the understanding that if somebody doesn't make me happy, or if somebody wrongs me, then to correct them, I have to beat them.
The person,
So to them, now we're talking about habits. Now it's a habit. Because what happens with habits is that how habits form is when you start doing something repeatedly, consistently over time, it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
When you continue with habit, it becomes a character.
Character.
Yeah.
When you continue with character, it becomes a personality. That's who you are.
Yeah.
One day you took money, you stole. You're not yet a thief. The next day you took money, you stole. You're not yet a thief. You stole, but you're not yet a thief in person. When you continue doing it, it becomes a habit. Continue doing that habit, it becomes a character. So much so that you have 1 million in your account. You don't need the 100 naira, but you just still put it inside your pocket. Now it's a character.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a
Personality.
personality. And forgive me, that is why a politician would have 10 billion, for example, in his account, but will still be stealing 1 million.
Okay.
Because that's the personality now. They don't need the money. They have enough money to last generations.
Yes.
But now, they're just thieves. Sorry, I'm not saying all politicians are thieves,
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah, you
yeah.
understand
But I'm just
what
saying
you're
this is
saying.
how habits work, and this is how habits can be very powerful. So, as a parent, with your children, you understand that number one, it's inevitable that they're going to have weaknesses as much as they have strengths. Don't forget that the child will have good things that they exhibit as well too. You know that, number one. Number two, you want to know that who owns the child. This is very powerful. Because we think we own our children, we treat them like our property. So that's why we beat them, that's why we kick them, that's why we slap them, that's why we say, don't tell me how to raise my own child. That sort of thing. Well, who does a child belong to? I think it's in Psalm 127, verse 3. It says that children belong to the Lord.
Okay.
It is God that gives children for you to look after them. So meaning, for example, if I come now and I give you a car and say this is company car, Star Cross car, for you to be driving. Even though I've given you the car, it is not your car, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you buy your own car, do you think you would maintain the two cars the same way?
No.
It's not, because when the one you own, you can if anything happens, it's not so much of a big deal because it's your own. If something breaks in the car, you can wait 1 year until you have money before you fix it or whatever. But if I gave you my car and you went and scratched it somewhere, oh my God. If I traveled, you're thinking, oh my God, I need to fix it before it gets back because it's not mine, it's not mine. That is how we should think in terms of children. So when you have that understanding that this child is not mine, then you don't. Yeah, exactly. So the child comes through you into the world with their own unique purpose, with their own unique identity. The child doesn't have to be what I want the child to be. Do you understand? So having this understanding now makes you bring the child up in the way the owner wants, not in the way you want. Hence the reason why the Bible then says, how should you train up a child? In the way that they should go, so that they should not depart from it. And then Ephesians then says, bring up in the child in the way and admonition of the Lord. Not in the way of an admonition of yourself. Not in the way and admonition of your village. Not in the way and admonition of your tradition. Many of us will say, in my tradition, this is how. In my culture, this is how. But when you understand that it is God's child, now you look from the point of view of God to say that this is how God wants me to raise the child. So you raise the child in a godly way. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that because that then puts you in a position where you do things differently with bringing up the child. You know that the child inevitably would have some bad traits and bad habits growing up. You spot them out and you correct them in a way and admonition of the Lord. Number two, a big mistake that we make, if I'm talking too much, please stop.
No,
No, it's
okay.
okay. Right on.
A big mistake that we make is this. There's what is called formative years in a child. Very important. It's almost like when you plant, when you put a seed in the soil for a plant. When the plant starts growing, at that early stage is where you can direct it to where you want it to face or whatever. You see somebody with tie a stick, put whatever here. Because as soon as it really grows, it's impossible. In many cases, you would have to break it before you can bend it. You know, you cannot just go to a tree and bend the tree. But when it's very little, you can bend it without actually breaking it. Exactly the same with the
You
child.
know what just came into my mind? Our African parents would say, if you are an okra, no matter how tall you grow,
Bring
we'll
it
bend
down.
you.
That proverb is true. It's very, very true.
But sometimes it might be too late to bend the okra.
When you, after plucking it, it will still go back.
Now that's okra. We're talking about humans. So when Miss Grace said it's better to bend it when they are small. So if you don't bend those characters, if you don't shape them that time, and they grow up with it, I think it's going to be hard for us to get rid of it.
Yeah, I
It's true.
understand.
But I see where Ruth is also coming
Yes,
from.
I
and
get.
It's an African proverb. Anyhow, you know, a parent, they still believe that even as you're grown, they can still bend you and knock you.
Exactly.
That's
So, I
not
mean,
possible anyways.
yeah, I mean, obviously that proverb is a very powerful proverb.
Yeah.
And that proverb in context is almost saying that you cannot outgrow the
Outgrow
authority of your parents.
Yes.
I mean, no matter how big you are, I can still sit you down and talk to you. Surely, literally, like my mom now cannot slap me the way that she would slap me like when I was young. They
Exactly.
come here, bah, or whatever. So that proverb is almost like my mom definitely can say, sit down, keep quiet, and I will keep quiet. Do you
And
understand?
there are some people that will still walk away from their parents.
Yeah, those
And
ones
that's
that have
the poor
this anger
training now.
issues, right?
So I don't know if that's I don't know what causes that, because sometimes children tends to disrespect our parents.
Parents.
Even when, I don't want to talk out of experience, but I've witnessed, I've even been in a situation whereby the parents are talking to their kids, but they walk away. You understand? And they don't give their parents that respect. So at this point, should we say our parents didn't bend us while we were small, or they didn't raise us well while we were small, for us to grow up and then walk out of
I think it started from little, from small.
Yeah,
Yeah, some parents after disciplining their child, you're not supposed to step an inch until your mom or your dad walks out. That is only when you are authorized to leave that place.
Thank you.
Most of us, that's how we're being brought up. Even after beating you, you sit down there and be breathing. You don't have any right to leave, right? Until your mom says, "My friend, leave my side." That means she's freeing you now. Go and continue from where you stopped, what you were doing.
Yeah.
But some people, some children, after beating them, they just allow the child will now, show
Throw themselves and walk away.
Yeah, I think that's how it
this,
started.
Video is viral. I don't know if you've seen it. It's overseas there because that's where we can see all those things. Not here in Africa. Black wood don't lie for it. So I saw a viral video as a mom was like time for dinner, and the son was playing a video game. So the mom was there trying to tell the boy to drop the video game for the boy to go have dinner, everyone to go out. She was like persistent, drop off that TV now, off that video game. I am talking to you, while the boy was still playing. I don't know if you've seen the video.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh,
I
was
think
still
I
playing
have,
the
I
video
have.
game.
Yeah.
And then the dad came in and then was like, "Was no, your mom is talking to this one." I never felt the dad. He was still playing the video game. So at that point, we don't know if the parent was wrong in parenting or if the child himself. I don't know. So
What
we
were
don't
they
know.
supposed to do at that very moment? Is
Compared
it not
to
to go and seize the item?
Seize it,
I
like
don't
the
know,
Nigerian
because I
parents.
don't know,
do.
I don't want because she kept shouting on the boy to stand up off the video game. Let's go have
When
dinner.
you can just stand
You know
up
how
and
it
go
all
there and
started?
collect those.
No, I don't know. At that point,
You know how it all started? When you send your child to do something and you give that child some seconds to finish what he or she was doing before doing it, that child will definitely get used to it. So in my own opinion, I think when you send your child to do something, that child should get up instantly.
Immediately.
Yeah, that is what caused that. You know, when you want your child to do something, go and wash the dishes. That child is still there. Go and wash. Mommy, let me finish what I'm doing.
complete this.
Let me just complete. That's how it all started.
Mm.
That child should leave immediately because as that child is growing up, he's getting used to it. So that child definitely wanted to stop the video game, but he wanted to land first before stopping the video game. I don't know if you understand what that
Yeah,
is.
sure.
That's how it all started. I think it
Totally.
should be treated when they are still tender. Make them do it immediately, like our African parents. Stop them immediately.
But
waste
sometimes
time.
looking at that aspect, we know like from my home, your mom will always correct you that, okay, fine, go and do this, and immediately, okay, you're doing something else, and probably she just comes closer to you, collects you the video and all of that. But you see, while the child is growing up, he or she now meets with people outside. No, I'm looking at that point where he said if the parents should collect immediately and all of that. Then he meets people outside. He's tend to see that those people tend to influence that child.
Yeah.
At that point, the child may not easily, okay, let me not use the child at that aspect, because from there the child is growing. It's either at the period of adolescence, you perhaps some parents don't really beat their children at that point again. So they believe that you just have to talk correct. So at that point, you see that child, he has now taken those habits he's now seeing outside to portray at home. That doesn't mean the parent did not give the child that training. Yeah, he or she needed. It's just that the influence he has now gotten, because sometimes I tend to experience those things, like being in a surrounding of such things, and I think that's why I'm always having a different understanding to things. So you see that child, because the child has gotten some influential traits from outside and all that, you see that child now at that adolescence. Now the child is like, I want to talk to you, and the child is walking away, and you, the parent, be like, I wasn't like this. You had tried your best to bring up that child in the right way, but because is that influence is getting outside, that's what is now maybe changing the actual training you gave to that child. And from there, he now grows up, maybe now after adolescence, he's not an adult, and you see that you can't really bend him to correct it again, like you're saying, no matter how tall you are. So that's how I'm seeing it. So it's not all about maybe the parent did not train the child right from childhood, but because that's for
so at that point, maybe what should the parents do at that scenario when the child is influenced
by other
peer
people
pressure?
from outside?
I think so. Just quickly going back to what I was talking in terms of like the formative years, we keep going back to making sure that between age 1 and 5 is really, really important at that point. So when a child is born to when they're 1 year old, that's when they're just developing physically. So there's not much you can do in terms of like their mind at that stage. When a child is between 1 and 2 years old, this is when they're adapting to their environment. They're still, their mind, they're still not developing really at that stage. They're just, they know their way, they can walk, they open door, close door, they know where the milk is or the water is or whatever. So they're adapting to environment. It becomes very critical when from 3 years old upwards, especially 3 to 11, for example. Because from 3 to 5, this is when they start to form habits. And the way they form habits, the biggest way is by watching parents, what they are doing. You talked about disrespect. A child that grows up in a family or in a home where they constantly see the man disrespect the woman, they're picking up those things. Where they constantly see the woman disrespect the man, they're picking up those things. So you don't have to go to the child and see the child say, this is how you disrespect somebody. But watching you do it,
because you are your child's first teacher.
Very much so. Very true. And those periods are so important because the child is a blank slate. So they see that, whenever mommy is upset with daddy, she shouts. So the understanding to the child, because this is a blank slate now, don't forget, they don't know anything. The understanding is that, if I'm not happy, I shout to get results. So nobody has told the child that. But they start learning and growing up. So it's funny that the man or the woman will grow up and then the child will shout at them and they start to think that, where did you get this from? I didn't train you like this. But oh yes, you trained them like that. Even though it wasn't direct training. So this is really important. You talked about disrespect and all those other things. It is at this stage where they are literally from 3 years old that you make sure that your lifestyle, you're modeling God to your children. Because they will see you and copy from you. They are big imitators. Children learn quicker that way. So if you sit them down to teach them something, it will take them, if you say teaching, when I say sit them, like to talk to them, it will take them longer. But when you show them something, when you're actively doing something, you'll be surprised that they will even do it more than you because they always want to be like mommy or be like daddy, Now, that's from the formative years. But if perhaps some way, somehow you've missed all of that, and now you've ended up with a child where you have challenging issues, the first thing I always say to anybody is that number one, you always go back to the creator. The creator is the one that has the instruction manual for that child. The creator is the one that knows how to tweak that child. Sometimes the lesson you cannot give that child to change their habits, can come from somebody else, can come from outside, can come from school, can come from a mistake they make. So you are telling the child not to steal, not to steal, not to steal. But then you are praying to God. God can use the consequence of stealing to teach your child. One day they will catch the child outside, maybe flog the child severely. That day is the day that it turns it around for the child. So this is where it's difficult to have there's not one way to treat issues like this, but the first universal way is prayer. Is to engage with the Father. He knows where to touch the child, how to treat the child, to make the child change. Then on top of that, secondly, the things that we've been talking about, which is like talking, engaging. I talked about Eli. Eli did not engage with the children, so the children just carried on. And when God came, God killed Hophni, Phinehas, and killed Eli as well too. Because even though you are a righteous person, you didn't do any sin, you did not correct your children. So as a parent, you must correct your children. Is it, when we say correction, is it with the rod? Is it by flogging them? No. I think we are more mature than that now, because we have a better understanding. If the rod can correct somebody, all the children in Nigeria will be righteous.
Yes.
Especially the ones in Nigeria.
There will be no thieves, there will be nobody in prison, there will be no bad politicians, there will be no... Because we came from a generation where beating was it was the solution.
It was like the culture.
Yeah, it was the culture.
We needed to abide by it.
Exactly. And it's so wrong because we can clearly see. So if we go to the Western world, the Western world used to beat children. It was also a tradition.
They do?
They are used to beat children. Hence the phrase where they say spoil the rod and spare the child. That's not a biblical phrase, by the way. It's nowhere in the Bible. It's an Englishman called Butler, Richard Butler, I think I'm correct, that made that phrase in 18 something. And it became so popular, everybody started saying it, and it felt like it was from the Bible. Now, he said it because it was a tradition in the UK, especially to beat a child. You know, it was common. So you can beat a child, even in the schools in the UK in early 1900s, it was common to beat children in school. But they now saw that it wasn't making the child any better. It clearly is not making the child better. In fact, it had adverse results. Those children that you beat more tend up to be more angry, to be more confused, to be more volatile when they grow up. So they now saw that the people that don't engage their children in that way where they beat them become better children. So the whole system changed. Now they don't beat children in school. It's not allowed. Now, even you as a parent, if you are caught beating your child, you can actually go to prison in the UK or the US if you are caught beating your child. That's how deep it is. But then when you look at it, there are stubborn children everywhere. I can tell you that there are more stubborn children in Nigeria. There are more stubborn people. Okay, look, for example, places like in Asia, for example, I'm not saying they're not bad children. There are very bad children everywhere in the world. But you look at the statistics and see that, okay, this place, they don't beat children at all, but you see children that grow up to be successful, to be powerful, to have influence and affluence. Here they are beating us anyhow. The person will still grow up and still not have a job and still be wayward and still be... Do you understand where I'm coming from? Sure. So that certainly is not a way to change a child. So let me not be talking too much. Engage with the Father. Very important. Knowledge is so important. We don't know it all. We grew up with bad training many a times, thinking it's tradition, thinking it's culture. It's our responsibility as we grow up to then disengage from those things that we thought was the right teaching and seek for the right teaching. Because our children, their lives depend on what we know. We cannot teach what we don't know. That's why we are angry. So when the child is doing something bad, because you don't know what to do, you resolve to beat him. Because that's just what you know. And you're angry, you just rain beating on the child. That doesn't do anything. You know what it does? The child will not lie in front of you. That's all it does. They will not steal when you're around because of fear. But as soon as you're away, they steal, they lie. That's when they now go to university. You'll be surprised when they suspend the child. Also, you'll be saying, what? You didn't know the child still is a thief or lie? You don't know because the child fears you. So when you're around, they are inside the house like holier than thou or whatever. But as soon as you're out or as soon as they go outside, the whole thing changes. Let me stop.
Okay, so thank you so much for contributing your £1 to the discussion this morning. I have really learned a lot though. I don't know about you.
Of course.
Yeah.
I learned a lot as well.
I've really learned a lot. You know, His Grace Bernard, every time he always tell me, I don't know what to say, I don't have what to say, but I used to tell him, just open your mouth. Just open your mouth, something will come out. you definitely gain one word of wisdom or the other. You definitely go home with something. And he's talked a lot. It's inevitable, Prepare. In fact, as soon as you're born, prepare. Say, this is hell that will eventually turn into heaven. Just prepare yourself. I mean, when you're prepared, some of those things that come your way, it's not be too surprising. So I believe you've had a wonderful time with us here on Morning Star set. It's still Children's Week, and we've decided to talk about children. In fact, we're talking about children this whole week. We've had fun with you, His Grace Venna. Thank you so much for coming to our studio. We believe that even if you go back there, you always join us via Zoom, so we'll not miss you too much.
I'm still around next Monday if.
Okay. So if you're expecting him anytime soon again, because it's 2 children and it's one part of anytime children have fellowship, we're always here to impart 1 or 2 to them. So this is going to be the end of our discussion here on set of the Morning Star Breakfast Show. It was intriguing, it was nice, it was entertaining, it was also educating on the topic bad habits and how parents can, control this habit. Okay, my name is Imedio Umoyo. I'm going to be signing out now with my other presenters. I don't know if they have something to say
I do.
at the end.
As a child, live a good life so that when you grow up and have your own child, they will also live a good life because it passes. It goes on and on. So live a good life. Happy Children's Week.
Happy Children's Week.
All right. Okay. As parents, because my advice will always go to parents, although I'm hoping. So as parents, we should always ensure to calm down now. Because I said I'm hoping.
Continue.
As a parent should always ensure that you check on your children. You might instill those characters, those qualities in them while they are young, like from the period of that 3 to 5 or 10 years and all of that. But growing up into adolescence and adults, because of what they've seen outside, they tend to change. So you should always ensure to monitor them at all times.
Yeah, all sure, right. Monitor. Monitoring spirit.
Thank you. I don't have much to say. You've said it all.
Thank you,
Grace. Thank you, Amy Pepper, for being our host for today.
Thank you.
Thank you, beloved audience. And we are so sorry we can't take all of your comments on the YouTube, but rest assured that we appreciate your comments. We appreciate your consistency. Keep on watching Sacros TV for your spiritual blessing, and don't forget to support God's content. My name is Joy Dambo.
And until tomorrow, it is bye-bye from us. Let's go and say bye-bye now.
Bye. Thank you very much.